another episode of the Club 600 podcast. I'm joined here with Sheryl, our registered dietitian. Sheryl, go ahead and introduce yourself for some of our members and viewers who may not know who you are.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Sheryl Fox. I'm a registered dietitian, which means that I am allowed by the government to give dietitian advice and be reimbursed through insurance. So that is the difference between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist. Um, I've been in the world of nutrition for about 7 years, but I'm new to the dietitian world specifically.
Now, so what world were you in before? Were you in just the regular nutritionist world or was the different fitness industry?
That's a great question because my arrival here has been very convoluted, as I guess most people have kind of complicated histories. Out of college, I was a bench researcher. I'm a biochemist by training, and I loved what I did. I worked for the Shriners Hospital and I did research into bone disease and joint disease, and I actually really, really loved that. But then I did take some time off to raise my children. And during that time, I discovered endurance sports, and it was kind of probably like a little break from the kids. So I started
Yeah.
running and biking and all of that. And I started racing. And I realized that in order to support my training and my racing, I needed to really dial in my nutrition. And I would say this was probably about 12 years ago. So I just started to learn all I could about nutrition. And then the more I learned, the more I wanted to help others. And so that's kind of where I am now.
So what type of accreditation or program did you have to go through to get where you're at today?
Yeah, so I started out by getting a master's degree at Tufts in nutrition science, and I was hoping to just work as a nutritionist with that. Then I did the ACE program as a health coach. I became a health coach, and I did get a job as a nutritionist at Hearts in
Hmm.
Acton, and I loved that. But the salary wasn't what I had hoped for what I was providing. So I realized that I really needed to get that dietitian credential in order to bill insurance and to have that people understand what a registered dietitian is. They kind
Yeah.
of recognize when you're looking for nutrition help, that's really what people are looking for is a dietitian because they feel that that's someone who's gone through a rigorous education and has a good foundation in nutrition. It's not just I'm hanging out a shingle. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to go and do that. So I went to Simmons, and all I had to do was a 1 year program because I have quite a bit of background in nutrition and biochemistry and all of that from my bachelor's and my master's degree. So it was kind of a really quick 1 year program. And then I had to do an internship, which I devised my own internship. So I worked at Emerson Hospital, I worked at AB schools, just different places. I worked at a gym, and I realized how much I love the gym environment because, like I said, I came to this from endurance sports. So for me to be able to be surrounded by clients and personnel and the whole gym environment, I love that. So that's why I kind of landed here. It seemed like a really good fit once I was accredited, once I passed that exam. Um, this was a really good fit for me. So I love it here.
Yeah. So, what has been your experience so far with our community? Because I know how you were just saying, like the gym environment and just being involved in the sports and fitness industry and being able to work with that, and obviously based off your own experience being an endurance runner and being involved in endurance sports, like what has been some of the community feedback or some of like the vibe you've gotten just from being a part of this community?
Yeah, so it's been tremendous, I have to say. Just from the get-go, the vision that Jane and Dennis have of they're not just a gym, that this is a community. And so people will stop by and it's just that it's a community and say, hey, how's your day going? Oh, I have a question about what I had for lunch yesterday. Or just people are really committed, not just to their own health, but to everyone's health. Like if you do one of these classes, you see how everyone supports each other. And so for me, it's just been a really good landing place. The community really gets together. And like the Murph Day that we did was
Yeah.
so phenomenal. Just standing afterwards and just talking with people about everyone's passion about wellness. It's not just, oh, I come and I go on the treadmill. It's my complete
Pop in the
wellness.
headphones, go on the treadmill, lift a few
Right.
weights, and get the hell out of here. It,
Exactly. So it's just a really great place to come. I love coming to work, and I think people love coming here to work out.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, even from I've been here almost 3 years myself, and just I've made so many connections with people, literally just based off the fact like I work here. Really, nothing particularly like I didn't necessarily go out and reach out like, hey, like, I'm into this. Like, are you into this? Just like actually trying to like form a connection. It's been very um authentic in the sense where people walk in and they've never met me before and they just want to know like who I am, like what I'm all about, like just because I'm part of their community, like I'm part of the club.
Isn't
So
that great?
that's great that you've gotten that same welcoming since you've joined with us,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think everyone here just has a big heart. I mean, I get you get everything from people will say, "Oh, I heard about this website. Have you checked out this for nutrition?" Of course, I don't know everything,
Yeah.
so it's great that
There's so
people
many
want to
fad
share
diets and
with
stuff
me.
nowadays too.
Exactly. So from that, and even, oh, I have this great hotel recommendation. I was away last week, and I said I'm going to Savannah. So one person said, "You've got to check out this restaurant." And so it's just like everything, right? You feel like friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's legit. It's not like it's just like you pop in at the gym and you get your workout in. It's with so many different systems that we have in place here, not just implemented by the ownership, but in terms of members, like they, they keep each other committed, they keep each other coming back, they keep each other involved, whether it's their physical wellness inside the gym, like inside a group fitness class, but also their mental wellness, where they're forming these connections, they're forming these relationships, they are learning about new things and getting a deeper perspective just by being a member here at this club. But from the outside looking in, it's like what's so special? Like, it's just a gym. It's a small little gym that you don't even know it's a gym. It's been here like 15 years and it's like stowed away in a bunch of office space. Like, what's so special about that?
That's so on point. I agree. You just see a building from the outside, but you walk in and you feel you're a part of something.
Yeah, it's just that energy. It's like when you meet
Yeah.
like a new person and you just kind of click like right away. Like walking in here, it's like it almost like hits home. Like it's a very comfortable atmosphere.
Hmm.
Where like you were saying before, people support each other, which is it's unique, it's authentic.
Yep. I love that. I love how people are willing to stop by and chat with me. I'd love it even more, if more people would even stop by. I hope that, because I think that sometimes seeing a dietitian can be a bit intimidating.
Yep.
I know that people will say, "Oh, I'm going to go in and they're going to tell me I can't eat this or I have to do this." But it's important to know that a good dietitian really works with you from where you are. We say, "Where are you now? What are your goals? And let's work together. We're a team." And I think that's why it fits so well with this club, because we are a team. I want everyone to know that when I work with you, we're a team. I'm not laying down rules. I mean, you're an adult, you decide what to do,
Yeah.
but let's try and find a way to improve things. So that's really what I'm about. So I think it fits well with the mentality of people here.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely meshes well. Like if you had to give anybody, whether they're a beginner or an experienced like athlete, just in general, like one tip or one form of advice in terms of their diet and their nutrition, like what would it be?
So I'm going to give you a bit more of a longer answer than you're probably thinking.
That's fine.
Recent research suggests that only 12% of US adults are metabolically healthy. And you know that we typically think of, oh, it's someone who's overweight, who's not metabolically healthy.
Hmm.
And in fact, even people of normal weight are not necessarily metabolically healthy. So I think that there's a lot of
Now,
people
what?
out there.
Sorry, I
Oh,
didn't
you
mean to
want
cut
me
you
to
off.
define that?
Yeah, could you define
Absolutely. I
metabolically
knew that
healthy?
was
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll work that in for sure. So I would define metabolically healthy as the ability to utilize all of the food that you consume in a healthy way.
Yep.
So that includes the three macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. And you have to be able to process them in a way that doesn't elevate hormones in inappropriate ways.
Hmm.
Hormones being cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and insulin, which is a hormone that allows us to grow and process sugars. So most of us actually are not perfectly metabolically healthy. Now it's a spectrum. Someone can be marginally metabolically in poor health, someone can be in dramatic poor health. But the very fact that so many of us have this hidden metabolic disease, we don't even know about it, would suggest to me that even in a healthy environment here, we always think that gym goers are healthy.
Yep.
Even a significant proportion of us gym goers are not necessarily metabolically healthy. That's how I came to it. I was an endurance runner and I discovered that I was not metabolically healthy, even though I was doing Ironman races and I was a healthy weight. I was not metabolically healthy. So I think that that's something that people don't necessarily know. And I would just throw that out there. Come and talk to me. Let's see if you're one of those 12%. Yay, keep doing what you're doing. Or maybe there's some little tweaks that we can do. And if I'm going to throw out the one thing to get back to your question,
Yep.
cut the processed foods
Hmm.
for
Yeah. Now, what? I mean, obviously, I know what processed foods are. Now, what would be defined as processed foods? You know what I mean? For somebody who has no idea.
Yeah, so there are a lot of really good papers about how to define it, different ways of defining it. The way that I know people classically will say, well, if it has an ingredient list that you can't pronounce, then
Yeah.
you know that that's probably not good to eat. I would disagree. Coming from a biochemist background, even common foods have complicated biochemical names, so that's not necessarily
Yeah.
true. Some people might say, well, I don't even know how to pronounce sodium chloride. Well, that's just salt.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily a good metric. But if you look at the nutrition label of a food, first of all, if it has a nutrition label, that means it's probably been processed to some degree.
Hmm.
But now even milk has a nutrition label, and I don't really consider milk a processed food. However, I don't want to throw anything under the bus here, but a food, okay, I will. Let's say a Pop Tart. If
Yep.
you look at the back of a Pop Tart box, it's got a very long list of ingredients, none of which you could not make a Pop Tart in your kitchen. So I'm going to call that a processed food. I
Hmm.
could make milk. I could buy a cow and milk it and have myself some milk.
Yep.
I can't in my kitchen make a Pop Tart. So then that's how I would define it. If it's something you could realistically make yourself, then that's okay. If it's something that you can't, then I would consider that a processed food. A Dorito chip. Have you ever baked Dorito chips?
No.
So that's how I would define a processed food, I guess.
No, that's pretty. That's a pretty good way to think about it. You know,
Yeah.
I've never even thought about it that way myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so minimize the consumption of those. And again, I'm not here to say don't ever have them because I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're human, we're normal, and I'm not trying to cut everything out. But
Let's
definitely
show how normal you
decrease
are.
that.
What's like your favorite like cheat, like your guilty pleasure, like
Ice cream.
ice cream?
But I
Yeah.
make it myself in my kitchen.
Okay. Now, how do you go about making that?
I make a custard with cream and egg yolks.
So is this like a healthier alternative ice cream?
I would
Like you almost
agree.
like Tom Brady with the avocado ice cream, or
I don't go that
no,
far.
not that far.
That's a little extreme. But because I'm making it myself, it doesn't have any stabilizers.
Yep.
It doesn't have any chemicals in it. It's literally just cream, egg yolks, a little bit of sugar. I do use a little bit of sugar now and then, although I try and use
Mhm.
less than most recipes call for. And then I like chocolate. So I'll use like unsweetened chocolate powder in it. It's actually, if you make it fresh, it's more creamy. So you're getting that fat feel,
Yep.
that deliciousness, and you don't need as much sugar then. So that would be like my guilty pleasure over the summer,
Yeah, I mean, who can deny a nice ice cream over the summer?
right? There
You
you
know,
go.
like ice cream's probably my favorite. Out
Yeah.
of everything, like at all like cheat meals, everything ice cream.
Oh,
Like
so we're
I'll
on
eat
the
it
same wavelength. I
year
love it.
round. Literally, like in the winter time, like I'll go and get ice cream. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. It just hits different, you know.
Yep. It's definitely something special. But if you invest in your own, then you can use real cream and eggs instead of processed
You'll have to send me that
ingredients.
recipe because that sounds like fun. You know, it's like even if you're like a boyfriend, girlfriend, like whatever, and you just wicked bored, like sitting around the house, like screw it, let's make some ice cream. But you know, it's different. Why not?
Totally. Tell you what, I'm going to bring some in. I'm going to make some and I'll bring some in for you. How about that?
All right, sounds
Cool.
good to me. I'll never turn down food. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
They call me the human garbage disposal for a reason, just like your son. You
That's
know,
right. My son also has that phrase applied to him. Hmm.
that's funny. Now, what do you do outside of the club? Like, I know you were saying, are you still into endurance sports, or do you still do that, or anything else outside of the club?
I love endurance sports, and it's not even just endurance. I like the shorter distances. I love the team events, like the Ragnar ones, Reach the Beach. I've done that several times. I really like the camaraderie in the horrible stinky van, things like that. So it's not always just
Builds
about,
character.
that's right. So it's not just about, me alone on the road. I do like
Yeah.
that kind of environment. I've done Pan Mass, which is, a super fun event with other people.
Did you do the one they just recently had?
I haven't done anything in a couple of
Oh,
years.
okay.
With COVID, I kind of just backed off all of the
Hmm.
events and everything, but I do miss it, and I hope to be able to resume. I'm also a big tennis player. I know that you've already spoken with Andrea. That's how I landed here, is because I play tennis with Andrea.
Hmm.
So that's another big love in my life. It's playing tennis. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Time with family is really important to me. I
Yep.
just dropped off my youngest at college, and I'm going to try not to cry about it right now because that would be embarrassing right here. But family is very important to me. And so that's kind of one of the things that keeps my life glued together. Mhm.
Yeah, family is definitely important, whether it's blood related or it's friendship related. Just being involved and connected with other people is just so important. We as a community here, we like to think a lot of us are like kind of family, like in a way. Especially like our members, like there's like a crew almost in every class. There's a crew of like 4 or 5 people, like at least that they show up here, they do the class together, but then outside of here, like they're together like all the time, like they're like best friends.
Isn't that great? I love
Like
it.
it's such like a different feel because the only time, at least in my own personal life, I've ever seen that was when I played high school sports. It's like you show up to the weight room and like these are like your boys,
Yep.
from class, and you hang out with them outside class. You have like the different dinners and stuff like that. But then once you get out of like that high school or even college atmosphere, school in general, you kind of lose that. Like you don't get like that
Hmm.
camaraderie. It becomes very like self isolated where again you show up at the gym, you do your thing, and you get out. Like you don't really make like many friends, and
Hmm.
people that you see there, like you'll see them on the street, and most of the time you don't say hi. Like you be like, oh, like I know that guy from the gym. Did you say hi? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a great point. But you're so gregarious and you like, I feel like you need that. And I find that with COVID, people are realizing that even if they didn't think they need it, they're realizing now that they do. So that's why it's
Yeah.
so nice to have this point place here where you can make those kinds of connections.
Yeah. I mean, so many times talking with like my friends, like whether it's like in person or on like my own personal podcast, I'll get deep into how important the human connection is and just being able to
Hmm.
form connections, even like in person. Like it's such like a different vibe and energy than if you just do it like over text or like the phone, because like through evolution, if we want to get sciencey, there was like a couple major things that had us evolve. It was, getting opposable thumbs, being able to stand upright, and then being able to communicate with other people.
Yes,
Because through communication, we're able to learn from each other, work together against animals, and to get food, and to build shelter and all that stuff, and form tools. But it's just so important, that communication aspect. Like we wouldn't be where we're at today as a society if we couldn't communicate. And a lot of the societal issues that we have are typically through lack of communication or
hmm,
ignorance through not letting another person speak and learn their side of things.
for sure. We do bounce off each other energy wise in person. You're right. And I could circle back and say that that's one of the important things about food is the ritual of eating together.
Yep.
Whereas when you eat alone, what are you getting from it? Whereas it's really meant to be a social thing.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have friends over. You were talking to me before we went on air about how you went out with friends for dinner and how important that is to you. For me, I had friends over. I love to cook for friends and family and sit down and really share. I find you're not just sharing the food, you're sharing yourself
Hmm.
when you do that. And it enriches everyone through
Even
that
the food is
experience.
like most times a representation of who you are, whether it's your likes. You have different likes. Like I'll get a different meal than you might get, but then also your meal might be more healthy. Where like I'm having chicken parm and like a beer and something like that. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
those are
So
good choices too.
yeah,
Come on.
but you know what I'm saying? It's all just a reflection of like who you are as a person and
Yeah,
what lifestyle you're living. And then just like you could literally walk into a restaurant and just look at what people are eating and look at them and be like, that makes sense.
right.
For the most part, not trying to judge people, but like that realistically, that's how it is.
I will tell you straight up though, I'm not a salad in the restaurant kind of girl. I'm the steak girl.
Yeah.
So just,
No,
FYI,
I
be
feel
careful
that.
there. You can feel that
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
eating salad like all during the week. It's like if I'm going out to eat, like I'm getting something
I
good.
want the steak. Yeah,
Yeah, I
for
want the
sure.
steak.
More value for your money.
Yeah, that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but what's one tip that you have for staying committed to diet? Because a lot of people, it's talking about going out to eat. Like they'll go out to eat a lot and they'll make that as like a social excuse where I'm out to eat and I'm gonna eat like crap.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um, like how would you give them like any advice to just stay committed?
Yeah, that is a big challenge to be sure. I do find that if you really clean up your diet, you feel a lot better. So there's that positive feedback.
Hmm.
I find that my energy is higher and my workouts are better. I'm mentally more clear headed. I just feel so much better when my diet is clean. So
Hmm.
then when I slide, then I kind of feel, oh, I'm feeling a little crabby today. I'm like, yeah, I didn't do so well yesterday. That's probably why. So I feel
Yeah.
like I have that reinforcement. But I do understand that it's kind of a gradual process. And you might not necessarily notice that you've slipped. And so it's hard to understand that, oh, I could be feeling so much better. So personally, I like to every now and then just listen to a nutrition podcast
Yep.
or read a book or read an article or just, kind of keep my feet in it
Hmm.
new and fresh. And so it's a constant reminder. So it's really the community I surround myself with. All right, I try not to spend much time on Twitter, but my Twitter feed is nicely curated with people, not because I want that bubble mental think. It's
Yep.
really because it keeps me on point with what I'm doing with my
Hmm.
life. Oh, this person posted a picture of, their beautiful steak. That's right. This is how I want to eat. I personally posted a picture of some oysters I had a couple of days ago,
Yep.
and it just kind of reinforces to myself my good habits. So I'm not perfect either. None of us are. I don't expect my clients to be. I'm not either. I'm totally honest with you. But if I always try to go back to the Pareto rule, if you can be good 80% of the time, the 20% will take care of itself and you will in general feel good. And that will keep you on track.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I had a podcast previously with Bob, one of our trainers, and we had brought up the exact same thing. It's moderation. Like if you're good, like you just 80%, like the 20% is like whatever. Like you got to be able to find that balance. If you do
Mm-hmm.
all of a good thing, like it's no good. If you do all of
Mm-hmm.
a bad thing, it's no good. Not to say being strict on a diet is bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's phenomenal for your health, but mentally, it's once you've had like a good sweet, like a good ice cream, like you
Yeah.
always crave it,
There's
regardless of
got to
how,
be space for some ice cream now and
yeah,
then.
regardless of how fit and how in shape and how motivated you are, like you want it. Like and you got to earn it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. You got to remember, like you got to earn it.
Yeah, well, that's what Bob will tell you. You got to earn it. And
Yeah.
then once you've done one of Bob's workouts, it's probably okay to have an ice cream once in a
Yeah.
while. Good point.
Now, if people want, after our chat and everything, they want to get in touch with you, what would be the best way to get in touch with you for, diet advice and everything else? Just kind of have a sit down and, get to know you.
I would love if people would. First of all, you can just stop in my office and say, hey, if I'm here.
She's been kind
Definitely.
enough to loan us her office too
Yeah,
for the
this is my
podcast.
space.
So,
Yep. But definitely through email, Sheryl at summitbedford.com. And my name is spelled with an S, which is a little bit unusual. So anyway, Sheryl at summitbedford.com. Anyone at the front desk can help out. They know my schedule. You can just throw it on there. Yeah, definitely reach out. I love to chat. It doesn't even have to be anything official. Stop by and let's just talk food. I love to talk about nutrition.
yeah. All right, Cheryl. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Mike. This was
Yeah,
a good time.
absolutely.
All right. Bye.